Hello, let's make a paper mache. I believe that's how we were taught to pronounce it. If it's pronounced a different way, I'll be willing to learn. But you're making a paper mache cup. We need flour. You add water and salt. Don't forget the salt because we need to stop the bacteria from growing on the flour once you're done with your craft, which you can still recycle after some time. You can even use it to plant or to do something after some time. Okay, so you need flour, water, salt. Make it into a runny consistency. You need your container or your tray or your bowl that will hold that mixture. Okay, and then you have a surface. Cover your surface, whether with newspaper or in this case a Ziploc bag, because it's going to get messy. You need newspaper scraps. You can cut in whether in these rectangles or they just strips. And then you need what we call cling film. So you have, this is what we have within. And you need your cup. Let me not call it a paper cup, but you need a cup, or you can even use a bowl or something of the sort. So ensure you have wrapped the cling film. So usually it gets a little bit technical, but you ensure you have, so as best as possible, I'll wrap, and at least twice. I'm looking for a pair of scissors. Let it not be just once, so that you create a good barrier between the cup. So it's okay, this one you can use later to help pull it out. So you wrap around. Okay, so the scissors is just in case. So you have your cup, bowl, whatever object you want to act as your mold, and then you wrap your cling film. Then you place it upside down. It's better that way for the surface. Okay, now this is where it gets a little bit messy. So if you need to roll up your shirt or your sweater sleeves or your hoodie sleeves, you do that. Okay, and then you need to be aware that it's going to get a little bit messy. So what are you touching? Don't touch your hair, don't touch your face. Okay, you can clean up your hair and the face, but we don't want going looking like we have been baked, do we? No. So you soak in. Remember, we need, so not too much. You can see that. Drip off the excess. Okay, and then you place it over and just mold it. And that's why we prefer using the newspaper, because it will pick up it soaks in the liquid quite fast, as opposed to manila or definitely not ivory paper. So you just mold. There is no particular pattern. The trick that I realized as I made a sample yesterday was that don't put too much. Okay, so you do that, you see, and then you can put even one that is dry to just soak up whatever excess. You see, messy, but you'll see the end product. So you keep doing that. So you just put, and then take off the excess. I tried doing it with one hand. It was not possible. Okay, so we keep doing that. Remember, not too much. And then this is something you can also try at home with permission, of course. Please don't go raiding the kitchen pantry or the kitchen store and then using all the flour, and when your parent guardian comes in, you're like, okay, we want to make chapati. I don't know whether you try this with ugali flour, but definitely that would be rougher than this. So please, if you're using flour, please ask for permission. Okay, so as I said, you can put some dry ones so that you can soak up any excess. I'll show you the first one that I made, and I realized you're not supposed to put too much of the flour, and why you need to have at least some dry pieces. So you keep doing that. You see? Try not to make too much of a mess. But even though we do, we'll clean it up responsibly. So this, even in line with our lesson for the day, I believe is all about patience. So we need to be a little bit patient, because by the time you're done with this craft, you will need to go home with it. And it may not be ready to get out of its mold until the next day. So please don't rush the process. You need to be patient. So we do that. So I think at this point, I'll put more of the dry so it can soak up. Oops, okay. Oh, there are two. So you do that. Okay, so this is what I found work. At least, you see, it soaks up the excess so that it's not too wet. But definitely just rub off. Ensure if you need to add so that they stick together, they lie flat. Okay, so you do that over and over again, patiently. And what I realized is that you can even put soil. Later on, you decide what you'll do with it, but it can become like a starter, how to start off a seedling. You can put some soil in it, and then you can put a seed, whether it will be the tomato, or whatever flower or seed that you have. And then if you have, once it becomes a seedling, you plant the entire thing, because newspaper is biodegradable. Like it becomes part of the earth. It's not like plastic. Okay, but you can use it to put anything, whether you start some, you use it as a planter, whether use it as, if it can hold the pens, or it can put the rocks that you find, the pebbles. You'll decide what to do with it. Okay, so there we go. So basically you have that, and then as I said, you can just put the dry patches. You can put the dry pieces just to soak it up so that it's not too wet. Because let me show you the end product. Allow me to, oops, I forgot, but it's not messy. I wanted something to wipe my hands. So this was my first one that I did yesterday. As you can see, it hasn't dried up yet. So I think I used either too much of the flour. So let's not, and I think also the container might have been, I'll figure it out. But for now, try not to put too much of the flour paste. Now, the idea is you will give it time to dry. You need to be patient for it to dry. And then you will, definitely it will not be as fast. This I tried out, but you will, even though it's squeezed a little bit, that will be the day after, or you feel it's dry enough, you just get that, and you will have your paper mache cup. So one thing I've realized is that once it's dry, you can't paint it. So as I said, you don't have to start to use it as a planter, but if you have some watercolors, I realized that you can paint it, which goes in line with also the lesson on patience, because you'll have to be patient enough so that you're not painting over wet, it being wet. But there you go. You can have your watercolor and you can paint it, and then you can store whatever you need to store in there. But you basically have made your paper mache cup. So you can do the same with the, what do you call it, the bowl or any other container for you to come up with this. So hopefully you will have the patience to wait for it to dry kindly, and then you can decide what to do with your paper mache cup, and you can try it with other vessels. Okay, thank you and happy crafting.